What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Fight Within podcast. Today's guest is Alfonso Corona. He is the CEO of El Pollo Norteño with various locations in Southern California. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Appreciate your time. And let's pull the mic a little closer.
Perfect.
Yeah. Just have it like right here, about 2 fists away. Yeah, you're good.
Perfect.
We're loud, so they'll be able to hear you. So tell us a little bit about your background and kind of how you got to where you're at today.
Of course. Well, thank you very much.
Of course.
Great meeting you, Manny.
Yeah.
And I'm CEO of El Pollo Norteño. It's a family-owned business.
Mm-hmm.
We started in 1981. My parents migrated from Mexico. My mom, both of them from Jalisco. I was born in Michoacán, and both of them are from Jalisco. My dad comes from a family that's always been entrepreneur and always been thinking of owning a business, whatever it is. I think one of his stories says when he was 5-6 years old, he started his first business selling cookies. But it's great, his story. He always gave us a great example.
Yeah.
And of tenacity and never giving up. And you fall, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's just standing up again and restarting.
Talking about that, what kind of lessons did he give you? Because a lot of people talk about that, about failing, and it's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get up. But what specifically, was it just like talks that he gave you, or did he share stories?
You know what, it was more example. He would share a lot of what he would do when he was younger.
Yeah.
And but it was more, whatever more resonated was the example and seeing everything. Everyone around our family, they looked up to him. Like if he was the father of everyone, of his brothers, of his cousins, nephews, of everyone, and he always would give you good advice. He would always try to show you the way. Obviously, we all go wherever we want to go.
Yeah.
But and during all my early years, he would always try to give me a good example, tell me what to do, what he done before. He always owned restaurants.
Okay.
Then I'm sorry, not only restaurants, different kind of businesses. And he started since he was young, so he always owned businesses, and my mom always was with him. Yep. And we love the in my day I grew up like seeing business around the home, not only when you would go to work, like even at home.
Yeah.
At the dinner table we would talk about business.
Okay.
And I think it's nice, and I think it's normal, and for the kids to see that you're not like trying to make it all around the business, but if you can make it somewhat like normal, somewhat nice, because they would see and learn like some of the struggles that you go through. So if they like that, they can pursue it. They see it as normal. They don't see like it's a big monster that they got to tackle, because it's not. It's really but when you're used to it, like with your kids, they're used to seeing you, and when you were younger and then playing and fighting and all that, it's something normal for them. And I imagine also for your older kid as well.
Yeah. So I mean, that's awesome, because when you go into being an entrepreneur, because I've been through it, it's there's a lot of doubt, and there's a lot of, because you don't know it, because I didn't grow up that way. I didn't grow up around the dinner table. Hey, this is what we're doing. I grew up with, I need my clothes for tomorrow. I need to be ready for work. I need to go in at this time. There was a season where my dad actually started a business with his brother for they're like filters for big 18-wheelers.
Nice. Okay.
And it failed, and it just tanked because they had no knowledge. They weren't experienced in that. And so when you have kids and you go start a business and it fails, you need to go back to, we got to eat and we got to pay bills. So we need to go back to security. You go back to work. And so to me, I never had that example. So going into business, there was always this doubt that I'm going to let my family down. I'm going to let myself down. The business is going to fail. And you don't have that. The best way to go through it is to go through it and to learn those lessons, So how was that? How did that, growing up that way and hearing those conversations around the dinner table, how did that impact you, growing up as a teenager and having an entrepreneurial mind?
Well, I think it impacted in a good way. Obviously, at that age, being young and being a teenager, I wasn't necessarily wanting to stay in the
Yeah.
business or being there,
Yeah.
but it was something that I would look forward to. I would get excited. I know what I wanted to be when I would
Yeah.
get older.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to own a business. I knew I wanted to grow something up,
Yeah.
and that's really what it was into me. Obviously, I did a lot of things that kids do, things when you're immature and all that. So something about our story is that in 1981, when at that time I was 5 years old, we came to Mexico. We migrated here from Mexico, and my parents. They had like $5,000 they brought from Mexico. They sold everything they had. One of their businesses failed over there,
Yeah.
and then we came to the U.S. and he found a place for lease, and he said, you know what, this could be a place where we can open a restaurant. He already had recipes. He already had the chicken place in Mexico. So he said, you know what, we're gonna do this, but we needed more capital
Yeah.
and to open up the restaurant. So he got some family loans. That's your first
Yeah,
one. Like,
yeah.
you're always going to your parents or someone that can help you out.
Yeah.
A brother-in-law, your brothers or sisters, depending the situation. So that's how they started. But one of the things that happens that in all the businesses, but more in restaurant, is that you plan or you you're always undercapitalized, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
You always
Yeah.
think, okay, I need $40,000 or $200,000 or $1 million, whatever it is, to start this business. But you never think that you need to have capital to minimum support the business for a year or two.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Minimum a year, yeah. Because otherwise you take the wrong decisions.
Yeah.
And you know it. When you put all your money at the beginning and you're having no money, and then you're going for customers, maybe you're underselling yourself, unfortunately, or maybe you're discounting your service too much because you want to get customers.
Yeah.
And it's not always the best way. Maybe you're not able to give them the best product if you start like that.
Sure.
So that's one of the things that happened for us as well on that time. So they were struggling their first years, but
So he opened one up.
Yes.
What was it? El Pollo
El Pollo
Norteño?
Norteño here in
Okay.
Santa Ana, and that
Okay.
time we were on First Street, close to Harbor. And
Okay.
he named it because he knew in Mexico there was a chicken place known El Pollo Loco, and here he never seen El Pollo Loco.
Yeah.
So we opened it as El Pollo Loco.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it was low first 5, 6, 7 months. It was low. It was starting to catch up.
Yeah.
We had next door to us there was a cantina that I remember that every time 10 minutes before we were closing, my dad would pick up all the chickens we had cooked and go to the cantina and sell them over there to everyone there, whatever we had left. And but during that time, here he had finished all his loans that he had.
Yeah.
We were really doing pretty good, and then all of a sudden we started getting customers in, a lot of them. Like it changed, like from day and night. And then on the second day, my mom asked one of the customers, "Hey, where did you knew about us, or how did you know us?" Because it was someone that didn't even live around us, and said, "Oh, I saw your ad on TV on Univision on El 34. I saw you on Channel 34." And my mom was, "Oh, well, thank you for coming." And then they realized that Pollo Loco had opened in LA and started advertising on TV.
Yeah.
And we started getting customers, obviously, because of the name. So pretty close. We got a letter, cease and desist.
Yeah.
Letter of demand from a law office that obviously we didn't have the rights for the name.
Yeah.
There was a trademark and everything. So that's when my parents started thinking, okay, we got to change the name because we're not gonna get into this trouble and we're not gonna win it either.
For sure.
So at that time they changed the name to El Pollo Norteño, and we applied for trademark, and then we've owned the trademark for El Pollo Norteño since then. So that was a big changer for us.
That's cool.
And right then we saw, my dad, I always say we because it's like when you're in family business, you feel like you're
you're
also
part
part
of
of it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So my dad saw an empty restaurant. He saw an opportunity right here on Grand and Second,
Uh-huh.
across the street from Guadalupe Church, and that church has great following. And so he said, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. No money again because he ran out of money when we opened the first one, and we were just during making some money or stop losing money when those TV ads started coming up. So he went up for the second one, and the landlord there, they were great family, and they decided the Gallegos, and they said, you know what, they give my parents a chance. My dad told him what we were doing,
Yeah.
his background, and he was always straightforward. He would tell you if he had more money to give you or not.
Yeah.
But if not, he would tell you, okay, this is what I got, but this is what I can do, and I'll make sure that I make this happen. Whatever, he was a great businessman, and so they opened that one on First and Grand or Second and Grand, and since we opened that one, it was a game changer.
So
That
what do you
business.
feel that was? What do you feel that game changer was for you guys? Open because obviously opening up a second location, it's a lot. It's a lot to manage one. Now you have two that you're responsible for. You're gonna have to hire more people. You're gonna have to work more hours. You're just gonna have to do more, double of everything that you did. What do you feel was that game changer that kind of propelled you guys to the top?
In this case, it was the location. What it made
Okay.
a big difference between the one on First close to Harbor and this one, it was location, location, location.
Okay.
Really, that one struggled, did keep up for some years, but then struggled, and I think with that one was closed maybe about 8 years after it was opened.
The
That
first
first
one?
one, yeah,
Okay.
the one on First and close to Harbor, but this one on Grand, since the first day it picked up, it started selling pretty good, and then it was always doubling up their sales, and we're always busy. We've been blessed that having that restaurant, and always my parents were involved. They were always there.
Yeah.
My mom was in the front counter. My dad was in the kitchen. Then we were getting help. Then the first help, it's always family as well.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
would bring more cousins or nephews from Mexico to help us out, or the ones that already were here, or that maybe they're already working at another place and we were their second job.
Yeah.
They're part time, and everyone helped us a lot, really, from both families, from my dad's side, from my mom's side. Whatever help we could need, we would get it always from family.
And how old were you at this time when all this
I
is going
was
on?
about 6, 7 years.
Okay. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I was really young. I wasn't working, but I was there at the
Yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was always at the restaurant, me and my sister Letty. So when after 3 years, my parents were doing pretty good, and my dad and my mom, their dream was always to go back to Mexico.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a lot of families, the idea is come, uh, do good, make some money, and then go back because that's their dream. They always
Yeah,
gonna want
yeah.
to go back. Unfortunately, a lot of them realize that you can't go back. You don't have enough capital,
Yeah.
or it's not the same life over there, whatever it is. So we went back to Mexico, having this restaurant, and we always had family members that managed the restaurant for us. And we went back to Colima at that time, and my dad started opening restaurants over there in
Okay.
Colima. So different ones, not just grilled chicken. He did a few different kind of restaurants, fine dining, fast food, delivery, pizza,
cool.
different, like 6 different kind of different
Yeah.
businesses. Yeah, and then he had a welding shop as well.
Oh jeez.
I know. He would get
That's
into
cool.
anything that he would think that was gonna be make him some money.
Yeah.
He would get into it, and then he was a distributor also. So he was already bringing things from Guadalajara, that it's like going to LA market and bring
And then
everything
bringing it,
and,
yeah.
and distribute. He would bring it for him and for other businesses as well. He was good also of doing collaboration with other businesses.
That's smart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he wasn't like the one that would feel envy for other restaurants or other
Yeah.
kind of businesses. He was always cool with helping other
I think
business
that's
owners.
huge. That's key.
It is.
Because now you get to collaborate. You get to essentially their customers or their audience, however you want to label it. They're now fans of your food because you
Yes.
guys did something together. You know,
Yep, you're
that's
right.
that's awesome. So growing up in that environment and constantly seeing, I'm sure you saw things that your parents struggled with the business, and
Mhm.
like you were saying, you guys talked about it at dinner. Like, how do you think that kind of shaped you into becoming the young man that you would eventually become? And did you always aspire to want to get into the business or no?
Well, getting into the business, yes, it was for me. It was like whatever I'm gonna do, or to go
Yeah,
to college because I wanted to go to college. Whatever I'm gonna do, I wanna own my own business and grow something. And one of the things that obviously it's hard when you're an entrepreneur because you don't have a lot of family time,
yeah,
or the only family time you have it's when your family is with you at the business.
yeah,
So it's there's a lot of tough times. Obviously, there's
yeah.
stressed, and then in restaurants, always stress. It's always stress. It's
Sure.
that's the norm in
That's
restaurant business. So you're working on the stress, and when everyone's off, like on the weekends or holidays, is when you have the most work. So you gotta take advantage of that. You can't
yeah,
go take vacations, or you can't go and take weekends off, and that was hard for me when I was a kid, really, but it really taught me a lot because I would start seeing the difference with my friends that were always off on the weekends and they were going to the beach or to the river,
yeah,
or they would wake up late and do whatever they wanted on the weekend. I couldn't have that luxury, and not because this is one of the difference. They had need and their home. I didn't have the need, but my parents would make me wake up early, go to work,
yeah.
come and help us out. We have
It's
more
great.
need. We have more. We sell more on the weekends. We need more people. We would rather have you there than having an employee,
Yeah,
and that way it's a win-win. You earn money. You get to learn also from the experience here with the business.
yeah,
Because when I was helping my parents, I wasn't the manager or nothing like that. I was and washing dishes, cleaning up, doing a lot of different things, and then you start growing up and learning different positions
yeah,
in the business. So that shaped me. It was hard, obviously, like telling you, like not having the same time off like my friends did. But then I started seeing a difference. Like in middle school, I would see that my friends would always get stuck where they were. They would lack they lack a lot of funds or money. They weren't
yeah,
able to get things that they wanted, or they weren't able to go to maybe a party that they would like to attend because they would they would trade the time instead of working to have an easy and fun time instead of working.
yeah. Did you ever get made fun of for that? Like growing up?
No, not made. No, not really. Not made fun of. But obviously I would get left out because
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't have the time to go. But soon realized that I could do both. I could have fun, go to work, make some money,
yeah,
and then at night or on the weekdays, whatever time I had, you would do it. And but then learning during that time in Mexico, we were there for about 10 years. We were there 10 years, and
okay,
during those 10 years, it's a struggle, man. My dad had there's restaurants. They would start doing good after 3 years. Something happened in the economy, politics, and boom,
and you
down
still
the drain.
had the two here in the U.S.
Yes, we had the
Oh
two.
wow! So the whole time they're both running at this
Yes,
together.
exactly.
Okay.
So, but and then during that time, one of those ones closed. The first one closed,
Yeah.
and just the good one we still have that one. And so my parents over there start opening, closing businesses because they 2 3 years, and then everything would go south,
Yeah.
and then start all over again. It did help us a lot having this restaurant here in Santa Ana because those funds would help us keeping those ones alive. And you know what? It taught me over there resilience,
Yeah. Yep.
standing up every single time or after every fall. But I knew that I didn't want it to go through that. I knew I didn't want it to go through that. I did want it more security, not like a job security,
Yeah.
but being in a place where the opportunities are better. And when I was almost 18, we decided my dad and my mom decided, you know what, we're gonna go back to the U.S.
Okay.
We're gonna sell we're gonna close and sell whatever we have
Oh,
left
it's
here.
again.
Yeah, again.
Oh, wow.
And we're going back and we're gonna go back to manage our restaurant over there
Yeah.
and grow that one hopefully. So at that I was 18 years. Um, I was in my first semester in college, and then me and my wife, me and my girlfriend,
Yeah.
said we're gonna get married and come to the U.S. So at that time we got married in '96. At
Okay.
late '96, in September of '96, we moved to the U.S. When we were here, we had to wait a year because my aunts, they were still managing the restaurant for us, so we had a 1 year contract. So we moved over here. 3 months after we were here, my dad passed away.
Oh, wow.
We didn't know that he had cancer,
Okay.
lung cancer. He used to smoke a lot.
Is he a smoker?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. He was a smoker, and I didn't know that he was sick. I was doing all my things when I was in high school and college.
Yeah,
That I
sure.
didn't really pay attention. Now seeing pictures and looking back in time and all that, fuck, he said,
He's,
I can see that in his face. I can see how sick he was.
Yeah.
And all this, but he was strong. He would never stop doing his plans. He would never stop his plans.
do you think that's a deterrent? Not so much in business, but just in the Mexican culture, at least the way I grew up, it was very hard to like tell someone you love them. Right. That was one thing. The other thing was that there was just no prior knowledge of something happening. Like it's almost like your parents wouldn't share struggles or hardships or setbacks. They would just be like, "Hey, you gotta keep moving, keep moving. Like forget about it, keep going forward." And it builds a lot of resilience for sure. But do you think there is something to, and obviously not sharing everything with your kids and not being completely open, but sharing things that you feel they can learn something from? Because like someone like you that was in the restaurant business and you grew up in it, you not only learn the resilience, but you start kind of putting together and seeing how a system is developed. And that's because you're in it. But like, do you think it's a downfall or a negative in our culture? And I know a lot of Hispanic cultures are the same way, where they don't like share things with family. They don't like I for the longest time didn't have conflict resolution because I'll just fight. It was never like, hey, let's sit down, let's talk about this, let's figure out a solution. It was just like, hey, let's fight. You called me something dumb. You don't like it. I didn't like it. Let's fight, and then we'll hug after.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and I'm not saying it's good or bad.
No, but it was the way. It was. Your way,
It's just
and
that's how it is. But I think for you want to change kind of the trajectory of your lineage and your family to do better and to do more and to not be known for whatever past mistakes or past failures you've had. And so I think for me, at least me personally, I've done a better job of like telling my kids I love them and I hug them. Like I knew my parents loved me 100%. I knew they loved me, but I didn't hear it all the time. And I think growing up, it's like it would have been nice to hear it, but I probably wouldn't have turned out how I turned out if I always heard it, you know.
Exactly.
But how do you go about like instilling that into your kids, because your parents did it for you? So now you're 18, you're in your first semester, you get married, your father passes away. Was there a setback? Was there like a hold or a pause on the business, or did you just have to keep going?
No, there was no setback. Well, and the thing is that, like I was telling you before, it's like you burn your bridges, you burn your ships. There's no way back.
Yeah,
For us, there
yeah.
was no way back. So my wife got pregnant, so we're expecting our girl. So everything's happening so quick, but we only had one way to go, really. One of the things is, and you're right about communication. We as Hispanics a lot of times struggle with communicating stuff
Yeah.
with our family. Love with I think our earlier generations were really hard on them, and it
Yeah.
was much harder for them even that how they were with us. But like you said, we know that our parents loved us, but
Yeah.
they didn't share it to us. So
Yeah.
you don't grow up the same. You're like doubting all the time because they don't tell you. You don't know, fuck, what's wrong with me or. But when we got married, my wife, she comes from a home where they do hug a lot, and they
Yeah.
do tell them that they love him, and they do feel like no matter what happens, they're always for them, no matter what they do.
Yeah.
So that's something that my wife taught me a lot, and with my kids, we did change that a lot. Since they were young, I have a daughter and two boys, and with all three, it was always "I love you," and you should do this instead of that. Now, I did a lot of things wrong when I was a
Sure.
young parent,
Yeah.
obviously, but always we've tried to learn from that. One of the things that made the difference for me, like in the business, it's seeing all things that we lacked when we were in our restaurants or in our other businesses, trying to do it different when we were here.
Mm.
And one of the things that I liked coming here is that I knew that coming here, if for some reason something would go bad with my restaurant, that I could go and work for some time, pick me up again,
Yeah.
and then go back at it. It's like when you're in the game and they get you on the floor, you get hurt, they pull you out just for 5 minutes, and
And
you're
then you're
back
back
in
in.
again, go
Yeah.
back at it.
Yeah.
Same. I knew that I had that chance, so for me that was cool. That was great because in Mexico it was hard. Over there, you fall down and it's much harder to stand up.
Yeah.
It's
Why do you
like
think that is?
you're down. Well, economy, it's you really struggle, and there's a huge differences between and a huge gap between poor and rich.
Yeah.
Right over there, it's really hard to be, and there's almost no middle class. There used to be one here. Right now, it's almost
Oh, yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
Also,
It's
the middle
almost gone
class.
too.
Yeah, it's almost gone too. So I understand, and I see that it's more challenging right now, and
Yeah.
it will be a little more in the future if it keeps going like this. But always the mentality was is that we believed that we could do it. That whatever was in our hands, we're gonna do it and work hard for it and make it work. So after coming back, we had to wait 1 year. So I started working at a dealership.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was great. I was selling used cars. I knew some English, but I wasn't really good because I was here only my first like 4 years in school. So I started catching up more and more English, and I was selling new and used cars. But that experience was great because there's a lot of rejection.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one likes salespeople. No one likes the
No, not at
car
all.
sales guys. So that was great for me because it also taught me a lot of different ways to approach the customer.
Yeah.
And then after that year, we took the restaurant. We started managing. We started changing a lot of things that we thought that was gonna do better for the business. We started reinvesting everything in the restaurant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So in that time, I was like managing the restaurant because it was my mom's restaurant, really.
Yeah.
It was my mom and my dad. My dad passed away, so it's my mom's restaurant. So we started managing it for her. We all, as a family, we decide that my mom has to go back to Mexico with my three. I'm the oldest of four siblings, so I have three sisters.
Yeah.
And my youngest was 6 years old, and that time when my dad passed away, and my sister that goes after me, she's a couple of years younger than me. So they're still between like first grade and high school.
Yeah.
All three of my sisters. So we said, you know what, go back to Mexico. It's cheaper over there. I'll keep sending you profits from the restaurant, and they can go to a good school. They'll go to private
Yeah.
schools. No, that's what we decided we are gonna do. My mom goes back to Mexico, and then after a year, sending my mom her money, and then we started making more money also for ourselves. We decided with my mom, you know what? There's an opportunity to open a second restaurant. We'd like to partner with you. We'll open this second restaurant, and we'll do a partnership, and that's what we did. During this time we refinanced our home, and we took some money out from that refinance, from that loan, and that's how we opened that second restaurant.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's also that one's still standing. It's in San Ana on First Street, close to Pacific.
Okay.
That was our second location, like in our era.
Yeah.
It was our second location. So now we have two. Then our second kid comes to our life as well.
And you're managing the restaurant and running the
Exactly.
business this whole time.
Running and managing both restaurants. So my wife was at one restaurant with one kid. I
Yeah.
was at the other restaurant with the other kid. We didn't feel comfortable having our kids um, taken care of.
Like a
We didn't.
daycare.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. We didn't had like a close family. My mom was in Mexico,
Yeah.
and my in-laws they live in Mexico as well. So we didn't really have really close family members here. So and we didn't want to take them to a daycare. So we decided they were gonna
Here
stay
it
with
come
us
with. Yeah.
until kindergarten. And our kids, they were there. They learned how to walk, how to talk, and everything in
In
the
the
restaurant.
restaurant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The two older ones, and a lot of our customers would say a lot of times, "Oh, poor kids, they're here working with you, or instead of being at home." I get it. I see what they would think, but now after time, what my kids saw during their
Yeah.
first years and all that time, it was normal for them, like being in a business ambience. It was
Yeah,
so
and they're
normal
not
for
gonna
them.
regret it. I'm
No,
sure they weren't like, I can't believe you kept me there, Dad, when I was a kid.
exactly.
Like
Exactly.
they're gonna learn from it. To them, it's normal. It's like
Yes.
if you go to Russia and the guys are walking around in their underwear in the snow, like to them, it looks crazy to us, but to them is normal.
Yep.
Like that's what they're used to, and they fight with bears and all that crazy crap.
Yeah, you're right.
But so you open up your second restaurant. I want to go back a little bit when you said that you changed a couple things in the restaurant that you thought would benefit the restaurant. What was there any sort of kickback or like animosity from your aunts because they were doing in their opinion and in their eyes they're probably doing great. Like things are happening, we're sending money, we're making money, like and you come in and say, "No, we want to change these things." How do you handle that as a family, as being a family-owned business?
Right. So one of the things that why we had to wait a year because we had an agreement
Yeah,
for them to
sure.
give them another year to work, but after that year they were out of the restaurant,
Yeah.
and now I was gonna take over.
Oh, so they
So
went completely out.
yes, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
they
they
weren't
went completely.
just like
Exactly.
working.
No, no, no.
They're gone.
Yes.
Okay.
So they managed the restaurant and they did great job, and I was thankful for them and also my uncles that were before
Yeah.
them. They managed the restaurant, I think, for about 5 years,
Okay.
4 or 5 years. So and it was like an easy agreement. Let's say you're gonna manage the restaurant. It was like paying rent. You're gonna give me $4,000 a month or 2,000 or whatever money it was,
Well,
and then
because
after that, all the profit is yours.
and you guys were in Mexico anyway
Yes,
at the time. So
exactly.
okay, that
Yeah.
okay.
So it was a good agreement for both sides.
Yeah.
So when I take over, I tell my mom, okay, I'm gonna keep paying you the same rent. I'll pay you the same
Okay.
rent, and obviously profit over that. That's our
Yeah.
profit.
Yeah.
So that was also a big incentive for me that
Yeah.
to make changes to make it grow because whatever over that first amount that I'm gonna pay my mom, it's gonna be our profit.
Yeah. Do you get kind of like how when someone shoots a gun they say they're trigger happy. They're just kind of pop, pop, pop. When you open up one restaurant and it's successful, then you have an opportunity to open up two and that's successful. How hard is it to stop yourself and not just continue to open more and more and more and more?
Well, for us, it was the second one wasn't successful, and it took about 10 years
Okay.
for it to be successful. But we had the other one that was really successful and popular. So this second location was a place where that would help us. So
Yeah.
we would have excessive work, excessive sales, and that one was also a second source that could send us more. It
Yeah.
would help us with preparation. It would help us with prep. It would help us cooking. It would help us any catering, or they would handle it over there instead of the one
Yeah.
that was already really busy. And we started pushing a lot delivery and catering. We started pushing all that because we knew that was going to give us an extra stream of income. And I think that one of the things that really kept us with our feet on the floor it was struggling that much with that restaurant.
Yeah.
Hey, it was the same cooks, same recipes, same everything, and we couldn't. And it was it's about 2 miles away. We couldn't understand why we couldn't make that one
Yeah.
work. And I was there. It wasn't like you'd have good service or whatever. It was me or my wife, and we were both giving same service, same cooks and everything, but same thing, location, man. That's something that I've learned.
How do you know though? How do you know now having the
Uh-huh.
experience? How do you gauge like, okay, this is a good spot to open up a restaurant?
Well,
Or what
now
do you look into? What
now it's
factors do you look into?
much easier, like to do them to see in demographics, to
Yeah,
see
yeah,
all of the reports, like obviously traffic counts on for the street that you're on, the demographics, the household income around you,
yeah,
businesses around you as well. If it's a small businesses, larger businesses,
yeah,
all those things we take in consideration now. Being close to schools or to church, different churches as well. There's a lot of factors. In our case, obviously, we do our biggest following. It's Hispanics.
yeah, yeah,
Mexicans, but right now in some of our restaurants, we're about 50% of our customers it's Mexicans, and 50% it's the other 50% it's Asian, white, different customers. So that has taught us a lot of different things as well.
yeah.
So now from our restaurant, so we went from one to two. Now we did stop for 4 years because, like I was saying, we're struggling in that one. Uh, but it was all good because the first one compensated for the second one,
Yeah.
so it was okay for us. We were able to handle it. That's why we were able to keep that one until it started making money. And now that restaurant's been open for 25 years.
Oh wow.
And yes,
Congrats.
thank you. It's not one of our best stores, but we love that one. It's the first one that I
Yeah.
opened myself, and but I think that's what stopped my trader happy. Like
Yeah, yeah,
noticing
yeah.
that it's not that easy. Wait, hold your
Yeah,
horses.
yeah,
It's not gonna be the same at everything you start. It's not
yeah.
like what the King Midas, that whatever you
Yeah,
you
whatever you
you,
touch
you
is
touch is
gold.
gold, exactly. But we're always thinking and growing the business. Whatever we're gonna do, the idea was growing, and we reinvested a lot for the first, I would say, 7 years.
Well, and that makes it fun, always looking ahead, always growing because you're just not stuck doing the same thing. That's what a
Right.
lot of people in the normal world,
Hmm.
get tired of or they get burnt out is because they do the same thing every single day and they clock in at the same time and they clock out at the same time. I'm not saying it's for everyone. There's employees that are great, that are hard workers, that are meant to be employees. But I think having an entrepreneurial mindset and an entrepreneurial spirit, you always want more. You seek more. You want to grow. You want to get better. And if there's one thing being an athlete has taught me is that you can't be stagnant. You have to grow. You have to get better. You have to be smarter. When you get older, your body obviously starts breaking down. So now you have to use your body in a better way and be smart about how you play a sport or how you do things. Have you taken, what do you look at now? Because you say you look at demographics and you look at data. Is there like a goal or like a set number that you want to hit for the amount of restaurants you have?
Not really a number. We want to open as many as we can.
Yeah.
We would like to go national. Obviously, I know
Yeah.
it's gonna take some time. About 6 months before COVID started, we applied for start selling franchises. One of the things also when I was a kid, one of my biggest dreams also was making our business a franchise, like a franchisor.
Yeah.
And I remember reading, I got in trouble maybe like in fifth or sixth grade. So my dad told me, you're not gonna go out for the next two months, man. You're grounded. You're staying home, and you got to read this book, and I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you about it, and ask you questions about the book. I want to make sure you really read it.
Yeah.
So I didn't want it to read it, obviously, but after a week, I started reading, and I liked the book. And it was a story about Ray Kroc, one about
Yeah. Yeah.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I love the idea and the system, how he started everything. So I I always had an idea. You know what? I want to grow El Pollo Norteño as much as I can with franchises. So when I come to the U.S. and start managing and growing our business, one of my biggest monsters was that, like, okay, I want to do franchise, but at the same time, I'm like scared to do it
Sure.
because I see this big thing and I don't know how I'm gonna be able to accomplish it. I don't have or the like the education background
Yeah.
in that. Obviously, I grew up in the restaurant, but I didn't go to college to learn administration or some
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
stuff that would really help me in accounting as well. So there's always this monster that I want to accomplish it, but at the same time, I don't take steps towards that.
Yeah.
I take
Yeah.
steps towards everything else, but not to that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
always like seeing it. I know you're there. I know what I want to get to you, but it's something that I don't know. And it was different things. It was like scared because I didn't know how to do it. Second one, scared because it was too much investment.
Yeah.
I would start going to the to a lot of expo, franchise expo. So I went to the expo here in LA a couple times. I went to one in Chicago. I started meeting a few companies that did this, that franchise your business.
Uh-huh.
And in that time the investment was a little more than $500,000 just to
Just
set it up.
oh wow.
So I said, you know what? It's something I we don't have the means. We didn't have the
Yeah.
means. Even having the two restaurants, it wasn't something that we could do. So I couldn't take steps forward to that in that time. And this this happened through for some years. Then in 2018, I started with a company. We signed up with a company, start working on our franchising documents
Yeah.
and the disclosures and getting all the paperwork and getting the approvals from the state and all that. And California and New York are the two toughest states for franchises.
Oh really?
If you get California or New York to approve you, almost all the other 48 states you can do piggyback. They just
Yeah.
if you're approved already with those states, you bring the same documents and then you just like pay like a fee like $100 a year for one of the other
Yeah.
states.
Yeah.
Well, in California, it could be $10,000 a year. With them, it's only $100 a year, but they allow to because they know that the policies or they're much stricter over here. That
Yeah.
if you follow whatever you're doing in California or New York, they're okay doing it.
It's gonna
at their states.
translate to other
Exactly.
states.
Yes. So I get approved in 2019. We get approved to start selling
Awesome.
franchises. It was around maybe October, November. So we're all excited. Now we think, okay, we're going to start selling franchises. And then COVID hits.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen. The first days, we didn't know how the economy was going to respond. It was all crazy. I remember going through 9/11 when things stopped for a couple days or
Yeah.
a week. And then I remember going through the real estate bubble as well in 2008 and 9.
Yeah.
So there's all this uncertainty. They said, okay, we're gonna slow down and see how we're gonna go about selling franchises. And then there's this new pushes on a new law that they started pushing for the franchisors to be liable for all their franchisees' employees. They call it like the joint employer law. So if your franchisee has an employee that sues them for whatever situation, labor-wise,
Yeah.
franchisor is responsible too. So that defeats the purpose about being a franchisor because you don't want to have all the liability that your franchisee
Exactly.
has. You don't want to be liable. You tell them and you teach them the best way you would do it. You would do your business, but you don't want to have the liability if they make mistakes or whatever
No.
they do. So this joint employment law wasn't.
It doesn't
It's
help
not good
you.
for exactly. It doesn't help.
Yeah.
So me and my wife said, you know what, we're gonna slow down a little. We're not gonna sell franchises
Yeah.
right now. We did interview a few prospects. We learned a lot from those interviews because we learned that unfortunately there's a lot of undercapitalized for businesses.
Yeah.
A lot of good candidates would come interested in opening a franchise, but the problem is that they were undercapitalized. They weren't
They don't have the money for it.
exactly.
Yeah.
They would
Yeah.
have maybe the money to open the restaurant, but what's gonna happen if it happens like my second restaurant? It's gonna take you 10 years
Yeah.
to make it successful. Maybe you're gonna be there, and maybe it's gonna take you 1 year or 2 years, and that's okay. But you gotta be able to hang on for that
For the
time.
long run.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So now, how many locations do you have now?
Okay. So in 2004, we opened 2 locations.
Okay.
2004. You know what? I'm sorry. It was in 2002. We opened 2 locations, Anaheim and Garden Grove. We opened in
Okay.
2002. We opened those locations, 3 and 4, and then we opened one at that time in Whittier as well
Okay.
in 2005. And when 2009 happened, the one in Whittier, we had to close our that restaurant. We closed that restaurant in 2009 when hard times hit us in 2008
Yeah.
and 9. And then the one in Anaheim, we relocated that one. It was on Beach Boulevard and Bowl Road. We relocated to Lincoln, that one,
Okay.
that location. So during all this time in Santa Ana, there's this project to widen the Grand Avenue.
Yeah.
There's it always clogs up here and the peak times right there on Grand between maybe 17 and First Street or 17 and McFadden. So there's this big project that going on for 20 years that they're gonna widen the street and all that, but it didn't happen. So some years ago, the city said, you know what, now we're gonna widen the street. You gotta relocate. So we were renting there the spot. We then owned the
Yeah.
place. We're in a strip mall. So we were able to get someone to represent us, and we talked with the city, and we told them, you know what, they were gonna pay us to move us through eminent domain. So it means that it's the best for the public. It doesn't matter if it's private property. We're gonna take it from you. We're gonna pay you fair price, apparently fair,
Yeah.
for whatever they
Yeah.
think, and you gotta do something
gotta
else.
move.
You gotta move exactly. So they relocated all those businesses, and the
Wow.
owner of the strip mall he gets paid for the property. Like if he's selling the property, even though he didn't want to sell, now he sells the property to the city, and all the businesses that were there, the city helps you relocate somewhere else.
Wow.
But there's no assurance that whatever we're gonna relocate, we're gonna do good. We already
Especially
had,
in a restaurant.
especially a
Yeah.
restaurant, yeah. And it was our best restaurant. It was our flagship. It was a restaurant that was helping support all our other
Yeah.
restaurants at the beginning. When all the other restaurants struggled, that was always our support. So everything turned out pretty good after that. Then we're able to go and open a location later at Lake Forest. We have one in Lake Forest. We just opened one last December in Corona
Okay.
on Freeway 91. And then one of our plans right now is to hopefully keep growing, but owning the real estate. Right now we own real estate for 2 of our 6 locations.
Yeah.
And in the long run, for me, it's the way to go because let's say in my oldest restaurant that we've been there for 43 years, I've been paying rent for 43 years. I don't know nothing from that
Wow.
place. Our rent keeps going up. Obviously, we do long-term rents to try to avoid the rent to hike too
Yeah.
much. But after 43 years, we don't own a single thing about that place. So all our newer places, we try to own the real estate. It's harder, obviously,
Yeah, for sure.
but it's for me. I wanna own that land, and then in the future, if it's my own restaurant paying me rent, or maybe it's a franchisee
Yeah.
paying rent
Yeah.
as well. So
But I think that's
the
a
idea.
smart thing to do. And the fact that you're opening up about this is awesome because people, I'm sure, will see that you have multiple restaurants and that you guys are busy and they'll be like, oh, they're successful, but they don't know the behind the scenes. And we talk about that all the time on here where, as a fighter, people see you under the lights or in the cage or in the ring, but they don't see the training camp, the preparation, the discipline, the events you can't go to or the family events that I can't eat that right now, or I mean they don't see the sacrifice.
Exactly.
They only see the success, or they judge you based on that. So I think it's interesting because you've heard it for years where the restaurant business is one of the toughest industries to make money in and be successful at. And so the fact that you've done it in that you're bringing your family along as well, and they're learning different traits that they can apply to other things in their life is admirable, and it's awesome to see, you know. So with that, you ever wanted to venture into other things other than the restaurant industry?
Yes. We would like to also, we start investing in rental properties.
Mm-hmm.
And our idea is hopefully to own small strip malls and also rental properties where we're able to obviously get some cash flow,
Yeah.
earn some cash flow, and then down the road have them first refinance those loans and then keep investing in other rental properties.
Sure.
And then later down the road, maybe wait for them to be paid off and just receive the income for those properties. One of the things that we also wanted to change a little, it was also with our kids. Me and my wife didn't have the opportunity at that time to graduate college. We both wanted to. We were in college when we met
Yeah.
and when we got married, but we wanted our kids to have a degree, even though they could still be in the restaurant, maybe not need the degree, but we wanted them to have a degree.
That's really
So
cool.
our oldest daughter, and she studied. She's really smart. All three of them are really smart. But our daughter, she started learning Mandarin in high school, and then when she graduated in college, we were lucky enough. She went to Notre Dame, and
Okay.
she graduated for Mandarin and accounting as well.
Oh
She's an
wow.
accountant, and then my son, my second son Alfonso, he went to Temple and he graduated in marketing and also data
That's really
analytic.
cool.
Yeah, and then our youngest son, he's Alvaro. He's at TCU, and right now he's an incoming senior, and he's studying for engineering. He wants
That's
to be
awesome.
engineer. So we don't need. We told him study whatever you like. You don't need to go into restaurant business if you don't want to. We would love you to, but if you
Yeah.
don't want to, we're okay with that. Okay, we're gonna always have your back and support you in any way. Obviously, we can't study for you. We can't
Yeah.
we can't do homework for you. You gotta work hard for whatever you like.
Yeah.
But we'll let you do whatever you want to do in life. And right now, everyone does their own stuff. My son, he started his own business
That's
when
really
he was
cool.
in college. He started his own business. He did great. And then right now, he started working with us. Maybe the last 3 4 months, he started
Okay.
working with us, and he's helping us with a lot of the organizational part of the company. We still
Okay.
have a lot of stuff that we want to get better at and do better. He's helping us also with a lot of automation, a lot of stuff we're still used to be. We believe we were young and that we were the young ones. Now we understand we're not,
You're
and
not,
then there's
yeah.
a better way to do it. I remember being the one telling my dad or my mom, "Oh no, you guys do it. You don't know how to do it.
That's
We
old
got to do that's old
school.
school." Exactly.
Yeah.
Now we're the old school, and our kids are
Yeah.
telling us how to
Yeah.
do it a better or easier way. And it's we still gotta adapt to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But there are third generation in the business. They, even though they're not physically at restaurants, all three they're involved with us. We still at parties or dinner or whatever, we still talk about the business.
Yeah.
I think our kids need to know about our struggles. Even if it's not your business, if it's obviously if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in the business, I think it's good for our kids to know the struggles because then they know whatever you go through, you can get out of it,
Yeah.
or what's the worst case scenario if it happens to you, they can see that's the worst that can happen and maybe not to be that scared of
That's
starting
awesome,
something.
man.
Yeah.
I love that. You kind of answered my question. I was gonna say, what's one message you would give to someone looking to get into the restaurant business, young or old?
Well, first, really, it's to get dirty, get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
Start working from the bottom in the restaurant. I think it's the best. It's the best way. Learn how to treat people under you.
Mm.
Learn how to do the things because then when you're gonna ask them to do something, you better know how it's
Yeah.
supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Because if they walk off or if you need to let them go, You need to be able to do that
Yep.
when they're not there. And if you're not able to do something that your employees do, you're always stuck to someone, and a lot of times it's not the best person to
Yeah.
help you in the business.
Yeah.
So if you don't know how to do all that stuff, I don't say that I'm the best one, the best cook in my restaurant, because
Yeah.
I'm not. But if something happens, I'm able to do whatever one of
You know how to do
my
it.
employees does exactly.
That's
Because
cool.
I've done it. So they can't tell me you can't do this or this can't be done
Yeah.
because whatever. I've done it.
Yeah.
Now you can see, and we have great employees. Really, that's one of the key things as well. We have great people that help us, that have been helping us down the road. It has changed a lot. The labor, how it was before and now. Uh, Now the newer generations, they don't want to they don't want it to be the restaurant their first job.
Yeah.
Before it was, you were in college, you would go. No, I'm sorry, in high school, and you would go and get a part time at a restaurant
Yep.
or summer work at a restaurant. It's not the same thing anymore. Now they want to be in their phone. Maybe they want to be at a start, maybe at a T-Mobile store where they're inside AC and still working with their phone in their hands. Whatever. It's a little different, but whatever it is, you need to get your hands dirty. You need to learn that from the bottom, and then maybe you'll know that you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And it's better to know then than having maybe working hard somewhere else and you earn some money, you have this capital, and then you want to start a business. I think it's the wrong way. You gotta learn from the bottom.
Yeah.
Maybe only 1 year. With 1 year you learn a lot. In restaurant you learn a lot with 1 year, because it's so fast paced that you learn a lot in 1 year.
Especially if you're going through it,
Exactly.
you're gonna know right away, like, this is something I can do for the rest of my life, or no, I'm not interested in
Yeah,
this.
and it's not for everyone. Like entrepreneurship, it's not for everyone. Restaurant, same thing, because it's hard. Weekends, nights,
Holidays.
holidays,
Yep.
vacations, all that changed a lot. I remember having one friend that tell me, "Well, with my kids, it's hard because then I can't take them out on Sunday or to the beach or whatever." How old are your kids? They're 6 years. Hey, they don't care if it's Sunday or if it's Monday or Wednesday or
Yeah.
Thursday. You can take them any day.
Yeah.
It's that you got to make sure you adapt and make things work out, because you
100%.
still have to give time to your kids. For me, one of the things that with my parents is that my dad didn't have time to go with me. I love sports. He didn't have time to go and watch me play sports, and so I remember always taking the bus, going to my practices or to my games. And when my kids were growing up, I was always there helping them. I didn't know nothing about coaching, and
Yeah.
I remember in Little League, I didn't know nothing about baseball either. But I was dumb that when it was the first parents meeting, I showed up instead of my wife, and now I know why dads don't go to their first parent meeting, because then that's when they choose the coaches from
That's
the
when you
parents.
get volunteered.
That's when you get your volunteers.
They
Exactly.
volunteer you to do it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yep. But being
Um,
there for your kids when you're in business, I know time is hard, but you have to also have your kids have as much as you can get involved with your spouse, because that's one of the things. She's your
ooh,
backbone.
Yeah.
She's your backbone, and you want to try to get them involved. And I know that maybe it's not what they like to do, and that's okay. They can still do their thing, but try to get them to know and to get to know what you go through, because a lot of times they'll see things through their eyes that you can't see them.
Yeah.
And they're always
100%.
and they always have your best interest. So if you hear it from them, even though you don't like it, I hear a lot of things from my wife that I don't like
Yeah.
from our businesses, but she's always there. She's not physically at the restaurants anymore, but she's in the office. She's the one that makes sure that everything's also running behind the scenes.
Yeah.
She's a hard worker, and she's the most responsible person in our family. She keeps
So
me
that
straight.
helps, yeah.
That helps a lot.
It
Exactly.
helps a ton. Have
Yes,
good
yes.
good people on your team.
Yeah.
Right. Where can people find you? Social media, website. How can they get a hold of the restaurant and go eat some good food?
So one of the things we cook. I didn't say, but obviously we do Mexican food, but our specialty is mesquite grilled chicken. So we cook like el pollo loco, kind of, but we cook it with mesquite charcoal instead of gas.
Okay.
So we cook whole chickens over the grill, and but over mesquite wood, so it gives it a better flavor.
Yeah,
Gives it
yeah.
great flavor, and you can find us obviously, like I was saying, in Santa Ana, Garden Grove, Anaheim, Lake Forest, and Corona. Also, our website is elpollonorteño.com, and we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Also, look us up as El Pollo Norteño, and or El Pollo Norteño, not the ñ.
No,
It
yeah,
doesn't take
yeah.
the ñ.
It doesn't
Yeah,
let you.
exactly. It doesn't let you. But that's where you can find us, and I hope to. One of the things that I want to tell you as well,
Yeah,
one of the things that has helped us a lot that I learned maybe after 20 years being involved with the business, um, networking. I never gave networking the importance that it has.
yeah.
I always thought that I could do it by myself,
Yep.
and you can, but when you do networking, when you do collaborations, it's exponential, man. It's so easy for to go much faster
Yeah,
away.
yeah,
It's not that you're gonna work less. No, you still work hard, but having good relationships, having good networking. We got involved with a group, a nonprofit named Rotary Club. I don't know if you heard of them.
I've heard of it,
Okay,
but yeah, I
so
don't
it's a
know.
nonprofit. Do a lot of we try to do better for the world and our community,
Yeah,
and there's different projects, and I've met great people there, and also I've learned from them
yeah,
the different backgrounds. Everyone, you're not there to you're not there to do business, really. You're there to help people and
yeah,
to help your community, but at the same time, if you find someone that likes what you like, you
yeah,
most likely are going to give them your business. And likewise,
yeah,
they're going to
yeah,
give you their business. So that's one of the things that helps me a lot. And now we go back and we try to help fundraisers, or to do a lot of help to nonprofits.
yeah.
We also do donate to teams for the like lunches for football. Man, I didn't know
Okay.
how much they eat and how many kids
Oh
you have
yeah, yeah.
in high school football
There's a
teams.
lot, man.
Man, I remember when one of the schools told me we're 300. Fuck,
Yeah.
300, and it's every week. And they have their two dinners. I think they did one on Friday night and then another one on Saturday. Before the game or
Yeah,
something like that,
you
or
do a
Thursday
team dinner.
and Friday, yeah, yeah,
Thursdays
exactly.
usually, yeah,
So
like a
we've
team
been
dinner.
involved like with 6, 7 high schools also with their basketball teams and their soccer team. I like to get involved with sports. I think it's a
Yeah.
great way for the kids to get tough, mentally tough,
Oh
really,
yeah.
and to learn that there's opportunities and that you always have a chance to stand up again after you fall.
Yeah.
There's nothing bad with falling. We always fall in
It's
businesses.
scary.
I know it's scary, but that's the thing in businesses. In business, you have to take action, and you can't give it that much power to your fears.
Yeah.
You have to take action, otherwise you don't advance. You don't do nothing. Then for that you got to go back and then maybe start working for someone. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to take action. Otherwise,
Well, I think
there's
that's the hardest thing too. A lot of people won't do it. And talking about community and building community, it's one of my favorite quotes is if you want to go fast, go on your own. If you want to go far, go with others. Something
yeah,
along those
yeah.
lines. But it's true, when you build community and you have a team of people, you can go further.
Hmm.
You can only do so much by yourself. Eventually, you're gonna get burnt out. You might get discouraged. You're not gonna do things. But if you have someone to hold you accountable, that tells you, hey man, you're better than this. You can do more. Keep going. Take 10-minute break, whatever. But get back on that horse.
Yes, exactly.
Keep going. I think that matters, and I think it matters too, more so with men. I feel like a lot of women have a lot of great motherly instincts, and they're used to that. They're
Hmm.
used to that role. But as a coach, you that's why you do it. I had someone in my life that believed in me and kind of pushed me towards something great, and so now I want to do it for others. You take that same thing in a business, and when you have a friend that's struggling, or has a great business idea but doesn't have the work ethic, it's like, look man, the idea is great, but you need to do these things. Don't get up late, don't go to sleep late. Go to sleep on time. Have a discipline. And I tell my wife all the time, like, if you can have little goals, like I want to wake up and walk for 10 minutes every day. Cool. Now you can trust yourself. And if you know that you can trust yourself, you're going to be more reliable. You know that when you say you're going to do something, you do it because you can trust yourself. Yep. You say, hey, man, I've been doing this for a week. I've been getting up every day at 6 a.m. and I'm walking for 10 minutes. Good job, Manny. Yeah. And you trust yourself, right?
Exactly.
And now you can trust yourself to do bigger things and bigger things and bigger things.
That's a great point.
And so now you're relying on your own abilities, because I used to run into that. I'd be like, I'm going to sleep early. Then I'd sleep at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I'd wake up early and I'd be groggy and grumpy and I wasn't thinking straight. Well, it's because I wasn't trusting myself. Mm-hmm. I wasn't disciplined enough to go to sleep early. Now you force yourself. Turn off everything. I actually sleep with the TV on. I get yelled at all the time, but I don't mind it. I can still go to sleep, yeah. Right? But I put my phone a little bit further away. Mm-hmm. I maybe read a book, because then I get bored and I'm like get tired. And so now you create these like systems, just like you were involved in the restaurant from when you were little. So you saw things that worked and didn't work, and you just implement that into your life and where it can take you. And once you start trusting yourself, you say, all right, cool. I know that I have these big dreams and these big goals, and I want my business to grow this much. I want to own properties. I want to help impact the community and help impact other people. Awesome. It's going to take a lot of work, but I know that I can trust myself because I did it from here. Now I want it bigger now. Right. I've done it at a smaller scale. Now I just need to be able to multiply and do more and do better things. But I can talk to you all day, man. I'd love to have you back on and kind of go into details and share some really cool stories. But I appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for coming on. And guys, go to the website. Go follow them on social media. Go support them. They got really good food. I love it. And just remember, guys, that everything was impossible until someone did it.
Great. Thank you.